Imagine for a moment that some all-powerful entity has you trapped in a room. It tells you that in exactly 14 minutes and 25 seconds, you will be transported from the life you have now to a new life in one of several different kinds of dystopian world. You will not be the hero of some epic story in your new life. You will not be the main character. You will retain your current status as an ordinary, run-of-the-mill person living an ordinary, run-of-the-mill life. The only thing that will change is the environment you find yourself in. You are given a list of dystopias to choose from. You must look over the list of 7 choices given to you and then pick one. Which one do you choose? Would it be the technological dystopia? One that is completely controlled by an artificial intelligence, or perhaps one that is still run by human governments who utilize technology as a way to exert totalitarian control over the population. We've seen this depicted many times over the years and in a variety of ways. Examples of this type of setting include the Matrix films, I, Robot, and Minority Report, among others. These examples are all, admittedly, quite disparate, but they all deal with themes of artificial intelligence, technology as God, and robotics, all having a profound impact on human life, ranging from the overbearing, to the all-controlling, to the life force draining. Living in a world like this would mean you are completely subservient to algorithmic control. The cold logic of computers reigns supreme. You will have little to no autonomy. While the downsides of living in this type of world are self-evident, something like this may suit you if you're of a certain personality type. Cypher, in The Matrix, wanted to go back to the comfort and blissful ignorance he had before while living in the illusory virtual world. Some people simply don't want to leave the Matrix. This type of world could be safe and secure to live in, provided you never get any ideas of your own, never engage in any speech deemed heretical, and always remain faithful to the orthodoxy for the sake of remaining comfortable. Is this you? Perhaps instead you would prefer to live in the zombie apocalypse type of world. Many people think they would stand a pretty good chance of surviving in this scenario. We've all spent some time engaging in this sort of fantasy, or at least know of others who have, and it's become kind of a meme now. Think of The Walking Dead, Resident Evil, or the various George A. Romero Living Dead films. Could you live in this type of world? Yes, zombies are slow-moving and can easily be outmaneuvered, but how long could you keep on evading them? You have to sleep sometime. Yes, you can haul up somewhere safe, but you can't stay in that safe place indefinitely. In the way that primitive man would use his incredible stamina to simply walk after a deer for as long as it took for the creature to collapse from exhaustion, the slow-moving zombie, with no need of rest or oxygen, will pursue you in much the same way. As much as the idea of surviving in a zombie-infested world sounds like the intense, white-knuckle adventure that so many in the age of bland late modernity crave, the reality is that if we found ourselves in this situation, the vast majority of us, myself included, would be dead within a couple of weeks, and that's being optimistic. What about a biopunk world like Gattaca, Splice, or one of David Cronenberg's weird body horror settings like Crimes of the Future or Existence? In these worlds, it's often strange biomechanical devices that come to dominate the technological side of life, rather than cybernetics as in the cyberpunk genre. Weird, organic-looking formations act as machines that perform predetermined functions. In Gattaca, the majority of people are born through genetic engineering in order to artificially inherit all of the most desirable traits from each parent. A world like one of these mentioned would present certain challenges to an individual. For example, would you be able to stomach looking at a semi-alive chair or sleeping in a living bed that might be finding you as uncomfortable as you find it? Then again, it's a world like this where all of the best medical advances would have probably been made, which would be an advantage. It just depends on how strong your disgust reflex is. Please support the Bewarecast on Patreon by heading to the link in the description. Every penny helps and is very much appreciated. Thank you. The corporate dystopia encompasses the cyberpunk setting. RoboCop, Blade Runner, and Cyberpunk 2077 all come under this banner, but so do non-cyberpunk stories like Soylent Green or The Truman Show. I've talked at length about the cyberpunk genre in my video comparing the stories that have come from the Western world and from Japan in this video here, which I would encourage you to go and watch if you haven't already done so. Could you live in a world where corporations make the laws? Would you be happy living in a place where Amazon, Microsoft or Burger King are in a position to fine you for doing something that they don't like? Maybe that's a tad hyperbolic, but let's be honest, if these corporations were given the opportunity to wield such power, don't you think they'd grab it by the balls and never let go? I think they would. I suppose one upside of living in this world is you could give yourself some physical or mental enhancements if you have the stomach for it. I'm sure many people would happily undergo the operations needed to implant robotic eyes or what have you. Me personally, I couldn't do it. I don't even like the fact that I have a few dental fillings. I literally get squeamish when I feel the bristles of my toothbrush rubbing against my fillings. It sends a wave of disgust through me every time I brush. A low disgust threshold is healthy, by the way. So I won't be in any rush to get mechanical arms, legs, or brain implants. The downsides of living in such a dystopian world are many, chief among them the fact that the protein bar you get from the vending machine might be made from a person. Profit above all else. If you're a rabid consumer and you define yourself by the products you buy and which brands you're loyal to, you may feel quite at home here. As long as you don't mind being subjected to the dehumanizing process of being treated as a number, a commodity, trapped within a system designed to maximize and prioritize profit and efficiency over everything else. Wait, that actually sounds kind of familiar. Would you instead prefer the solarpunk or eco-punk world to be the one you're transported to? On the surface, it seems rather nice. There's little to no pollution, no corporations smogging up the place with their factories and manufacturing plants. People here utilize solar power and so-called green technologies to power their lives. You grow your own food, raise your own livestock, and cooperate with your neighbours to make your own little slice of heaven in the countryside. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Well, it is, if you don't mind back-breaking work for hours on end, day in, day out. I mean, this is fine for some people. There are those among us who can quite happily survive and thrive in that kind of lifestyle. It's great if you're made of the right stuff. But most people who want to live in this kind of world don't realise just how hard it can be. I wouldn't describe this as a dystopia, strictly speaking, as there will undoubtedly be many people who live rich and fulfilling lives here. Rather, I would describe this one as a false utopia. Utopia, while lovely in theory, cannot ever become reality because of the nature of people, the nature of nature. All it takes is a few weeks without any sun or rain for this glorious world of green living to turn a dry and dusty brown. Humans will always be ambitious too. One guy will look upon his neighbour's lot with envious eyes, and if he decides his neighbour looks weaker than himself, he'll march over there and take it from him. Such is the way of things. But if you're willing to take the gamble and make the best of the many, many hard times that will be coming your way, then this could be the one for you. What about a post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland? It's a classic. Of course, you'll have to deal with the usual stuff: radiation, mutants, sand. But if you're of a certain disposition and have a strong taste for barbarism, you might be able to survive and maybe even thrive in this environment. Think Fallout, Mad Max, or arguably Judge Dredd. Many people consider Judge Dredd to be set within a cyberpunk world, but to me, While the link is certainly there, I don't think it really fits into the corporate dystopia category, as it's the government who still reigns supreme in those stories. Dredd works for the Mega City 1 Justice Department, not for a corporation. Corporations do wield immense power in Mega City 1, of course, but they're not officially in charge. And also, everything in Dredd takes place after what are known as the Atomic Wars, so there is a strong background of radiation, if you'll pardon the sort of pun. It also has mutants. Therefore, I think Dredd fits the nuclear wasteland theme far more than the corporate dystopia theme. He and the citizens of Mega City 1 don't live in a nuclear wasteland per se, but they are surrounded by one. If you want to go more traditional nuclear wasteland, however, then Fallout or Mad Max are the go-to. These universes still have cities, albeit not quite as sprawling as Mega City 1. They tend to be quite rare too, so I suppose it's a case of urban v rural living. The final choice you could make is the bureaucratic dystopia. Think of films like Terry Gilliam's Brazil, George Lucas's THX 1138, Fritz Lang's Metropolis, or novels like Franz Kafka's The Castle, or the big one, George Orwell's 1984. Could you live in a world run like the worlds of these novels? Constant red tape constricting you at every turn like some grotesque paper python. Having to constantly navigate a baffling world created by grey, middling managerial types who possess about as much charm and imagination as a dead mosquito. Could you do it? Newsflash, you're already doing it. To an extent. You and me and everyone alive today and living in a developed country are already living in all of these dystopias, albeit slightly more toned down versions of them. Technological dystopia? Well, AI is on the rise and will one day become as crucial to our lives as the internet is today. Zombie apocalypse? While we don't quite have the living dead walking amongst us, I personally see these kinds of films as being an allegory for drug addiction, as well as of disease. Something nasty gets out there, it gets into people, they change for the worse. I often see drug addicts when out and about in town. Things have gotten rather grim in England over the past century, and whenever I see them, I think of them as being quite ghost-like, zombified shadows of their former selves. The biopunk world can be seen in the amount of people getting cosmetic surgery or taking things like Ozempic to modify their appearance. The corporate dystopia element of our world is pretty self-explanatory. The solarpunk stuff has been tried in real life, with attempts at implementing green energy methods, though curiously, all of that stuff seems to have disappeared from the discourse in recent months, at least in my country. Perhaps they've realised that, as nice as it all sounds, it can't really work on an industrial scale. The nuclear wasteland element is self-evident too. Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the Second World War spring to mind. And all of these, every single one, is nicely wrapped up in a thick layer of bureaucracy. So, which of these will you choose? Leave it in the comments below. Thank you for watching. This has been the Bewarecast, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.